They didn't invite me to my own sister's wedding, not by mistake, but on purpose. And the reason they gave me was something I will never forget. You'd ruin the atmosphere. That was the moment everything inside me went completely silent. My name is Clara. I'm 27 years old, and I grew up believing family always comes first. From the outside, we looked perfect. A big house, smiling photos, expensive dinners, holidays that looked like a dream. But inside, it never really felt like home to me, because no matter how hard I tried, I was always the one who didn't quite fit. My younger sister, Lily, she was everything my parents loved. Confident, charming, always the center of attention. The kind of person people instantly liked, without even trying. And me? I was the opposite. Quiet, focused, always trying to do the right thing. My mom used to call me the serious one, but I could always feel what she really meant. Not fun enough, not perfect enough, not enough for them. Still, I loved them. More than they probably ever realized. I showed up to everything. Birthdays, dinners, family gatherings. Even when I felt like I didn't belong. I brought gifts. I made effort. I stayed present, hoping one day they would finally see me. Then one night, everything seemed like it might change. We were sitting at the dinner table when Lily suddenly stood up, smiling like she had the world in her hands. She showed us her engagement ring, big, shiny, impossible to ignore. My parents instantly stood up. My mom almost cried. My dad looked proud like it was his biggest achievement. And I sat there, clapping, smiling, trying to feel included in a moment that didn't really belong to me. Lily came over and hugged me. "You'll help me plan everything, right?" she whispered. And for a second, my heart actually felt warm, like maybe this time I mattered. That night I stayed up for hours, looking at venues, themes, decorations, even saving ideas for her dress. I wanted it to be perfect for her, because deep down, I still believed if I gave enough love, I would finally receive some back. But slowly, that feeling started to fade. Every time I suggested something, they had already decided. Every time I tried to be involved, I was quietly pushed aside. "No need, Clara. We've got it covered. Don't worry about it." At first, I ignored it. I told myself they were just busy. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was being excluded again, just more politely this time. Weeks passed, and something started to feel off. Family group chats became silent. Photos were posted without me. Plans were made without telling me. Then one day, everything became clear. The wedding invitations had been sent out. Beautiful, expensive, carefully designed. Everyone got one, except me. I remember standing near the door, checking the mailbox again. Even though I already knew there was nothing there, my hands were shaking when I called my mom. "Mom, I didn't get the invitation." There was a pause. A long, uncomfortable pause. Then she said calmly, "It's better this way, Clara." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" And then she said it, soft, controlled, almost rehearsed. "You'd ruin the atmosphere." Something inside me broke in that moment. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a glass cracking from the inside. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't even cry. I just stood there, holding my phone, realizing something I had refused to accept for years. They didn't forget me. They chose to leave me out. That night, my apartment felt colder than usual. I sat alone, scrolling through nothing, thinking about everything, all the effort, all the love, all the times I tried to belong. And none of it mattered. Days later, their wedding photos flooded social media. Venice, luxury, designer dresses, perfect lighting. Everything looked like a movie. My sister looked beautiful. My parents looked proud. Everyone looked happy. And me? I was just watching from a distance, like a stranger. But something strange happened that night. For the first time, I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel angry. I felt clear, like something finally made sense. I closed my phone and took a deep breath. If they could erase me so easily, then I would stop trying to prove my worth. I would stop chasing their approval. And for the first time, I chose myself. From that moment, everything started to change. I focused on my life, my work, my growth. I stopped looking back and started building something new, something real, something mine. And slowly, I became stronger, more confident, more independent. Not because they supported me, but because they didn't. 2 months later, I wasn't the same person anymore. I wasn't the girl waiting to be accepted. I was someone who had moved forward, without them. And that's when I realized something powerful. The moment they thought I lost everything was actually the moment I found myself. Because sometimes, being left out is the only way. You finally learn how to stand alone. And this time, I didn't feel invisible anymore. And that feeling, it changed everything. For the first time in my life, I wasn't waking up wondering how to fit into someone else's world. I was building my own, day by day, quietly, steadily. I started focusing on things I had ignored for years. My career, my ideas, my potential. I stayed longer at work, took on bigger projects, spoke up in meetings where I once stayed silent. At first, it felt uncomfortable, like I was stepping into a version of myself I didn't fully recognize. But slowly, that version became real. People started noticing. Not as Lily's sister, but as Clara. Just Clara. And somehow, that meant more than anything I had ever tried to earn from my family. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. My manager called me into his office. "I've been watching your work lately," he said. "You've changed." I froze for a second. Changed? Was that a good thing? "You're more confident," he continued. More decisive. More present. I didn't know what to say, because the truth was, I had simply stopped trying to be invisible. That same day, I was offered a promotion. A major one. More responsibility. Higher pay. A chance to lead my own team. I walked out of that office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not the kind that comes from approval, but the kind that comes from knowing you earned it. That night, I sat in my apartment, looking around at the quiet space that once felt lonely. But now, it felt peaceful. Because for the first time, I wasn't waiting for someone to call, to invite me, to include me. I was enough, on my own. A month passed, then another. And slowly, my life started expanding in ways I never expected. New people entered my world, not because of obligation, but because they wanted to be there. Friends who listened, colleagues who respected me, people who didn't make me feel like I had to shrink to belong. And somewhere in between all of that, I met Ethan. It happened in the most unexpected way. A late evening meeting, a presentation that ran too long, and a simple conversation that didn't feel forced. He wasn't loud. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. But there was something about him. Something calm, steady, real. "Clara, right?" he said, smiling slightly. "I've heard a lot about your work." For a second, I almost laughed, because for so long, no one had really seen me. And now suddenly, someone did. We started talking more after that. Small conversations at first, then longer ones. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into late-night talks about life, dreams, past wounds we rarely shared with anyone. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to hide parts of myself. I didn't feel like I had to perform. I could just be, and that scared me, because I wasn't used to it. One night, sitting across from him, I asked quietly, "Why do you like me?" He looked at me, confused. Why wouldn't I? I hesitated. Because I'm not easy. I'm not like other people, he smiled gently. "Clara, you don't have to be like anyone else." That sentence stayed with me, because all my life, I thought I had to change to be accepted. But with him, I didn't. Months passed, and slowly, my life started to feel whole. Not perfect, but real. And then one evening, everything shifted again. We were walking by the water, the same calm silence between us that never felt uncomfortable. And suddenly, he stopped. "Clara," he said softly. There was something different in his voice. Something serious. My heart started racing. "I don't want to just be part of your life," he continued. "I want to build one with you." I didn't move. I didn't speak, because for a second, everything I had been through, every moment of rejection, every feeling of not being enough, came rushing back. And then something else replaced it. Clarity. I wasn't that person anymore. I wasn't the girl waiting to be chosen. I was someone who could choose. I looked at him, and for the first time, I didn't feel fear. I felt certainty. "Yes," I whispered. And just like that, a new chapter began. But this time, it wasn't built on proving anything to anyone. It was built on something real, something strong, something that didn't depend on approval. The months that followed were different. Planning, laughter, late-night talks about the future. But one thing I noticed, I never once thought about my family. Not in anger, not in pain, just absence. Until one day, my phone lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months. "Mom." I stared at it for a long time, my finger hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part, the part that had finally found peace, decided to answer. "Hello?" Her voice came through. Soft, careful. "Clara, how have you been?" I paused. "I've been good." There was silence. Heavy, unfamiliar silence. Then she said something I never expected. "We saw you online." My heart skipped. "Your work? Your promotion? Everything." I didn't respond. Because for once, I didn't need to explain myself. "We're proud of you," she added. That sentence, the one I had waited my whole life to hear, finally came. But it felt different. It didn't fill the emptiness. It didn't fix anything. It just existed. And for the first time, I realized something important. I didn't need it anymore. "Thank you," I said calmly. And that was enough, because this time, I wasn't looking for validation. I already had it, within myself. As I ended the call, I looked around at my life, the one I built, piece by piece, without them. And I smiled, because I finally understood. They didn't lose me that day. They lost me long before that. They just didn't realize it, until it was too late. And me? I didn't lose anything. I found myself, and this time, I wasn't invisible. Not to the world. And most importantly, not to myself. And on the day of my wedding, as I stood there, surrounded by people who truly chose me, I didn't look back. Not once. No anger. No regret. No need to prove anything. Because everything I had ever wanted, respect, love, belonging, was already there. Not in the family I was born into, but in the life I built for myself. Later that night, my phone buzzed. A message from my mother. "We wish you were here." I read it, paused for a moment, and then quietly locked my phone. Some doors, once closed, are never meant to be opened again. I looked around, at the laughter, the warmth, the people who stood by me, and I smiled, because this time, I wasn't the girl they left behind. I was the woman who finally moved on. And if you believe that sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Because some stories aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be felt.